Salutations, incarnations, welcome back. This is channel 7, a little new format for today. Please, if you haven't done so, subscribe to this channel. It costs you nothing and it promotes this channel out to the world where others are dying to wait to receive it. Okay, so your contribution helps. Thank you so much. Now, back to today's theme, a smashing theme today, astrocartography. Everybody needs to know it. Everybody needs to know about astrocartography. Why, you say? Yeah, or like, yeah, right. Well, have you ever used GPS? Have you ever gotten in your car, been somewhere and gone, hey man, I need to get somewhere, I'm going to plot this in, and suddenly this technology takes you exactly where you want to go. Down to the minute, down to the meter, right? Now that is the only reason I got a smartphone 10 years ago. It was for that. I went to another country, I'm like, I don't know anything. I'm going to get up my maps. Am I going to look up my maps in the old-fashioned way? Those of you who are younger wouldn't know that, but back in the day, we had to basically get an address and have a map and buy one of the various areas. You had to look up streets and stuff, and you had to navigate yourself manually there. So at least it was better than nothing, or paying a taxi driver who, the taxi drivers of the day, they knew everything. I mean, well, those guys memorized whole cities. Anyway, I stray. Coming back to GPS. The GPS technology you have on your phone that we all use today, every one of us uses it, okay, to go anywhere pretty much, is essential. And what time it saves, how convenient, it's truly convenience. Much of the things marketed as convenience today are just pretend convenience with huge disadvantages. This one, I have to say, is true advantage, it's true convenience, and truly useful. So why do I speak of GPS? Because today I'm presenting to you the GPS for the soul, people. That's right. Your soul has technology in which there is a GPS navigation system. And why the soul? Because the soul is on this earth to have experiences. And the GPS navigation system I'm presenting you today, aka astrocartography, its purpose is to illuminate and illustrate destinations individually patterned to you and I. Okay, and I'm going to get into exactly how this works, but just letting you know, this is the overall theme today. It's a subject that it's very close to my heart. It changed my life. I knew about astrology for many decades, but I never knew about astrocartography or its relevance until the recent few years, and its discovery has changed my life. It revealed to me the reason I went to live in certain places, which were on my own lines, by the way, planetary lines, experiences I had in certain places that were disastrous, absolutely, like you don't want to go back and have that experience ever again, an understanding of why that happened to me, or the places of greatest transformation in my life, the places, I took many relevant places in my life, and the people that I've met with and done readings for, countless readings for, have all confirmed the relevance and power of this. This is basically a set of soul maps, and the science of this is what I'm going to share with you today. Okay, so, and you know, why do we need it? Well, if you think you don't need this, then you might as well delete GPS from your phone right now, because it's exactly the same. However, this is more valuable because it relates to life experiences and not just physical locations that you can take your body to in the hope for experiences. Okay? Right. How does astrology work? Let's just do a very brief rundown on how astrology works. It's going to be an esoteric / hermetic explanation of how astrology works, because, you know, we have two camps of people on the planet. People who believe in astrology and people who just go, yeah, right, you know. So the people who go, yeah, right, have either never looked into it, or they've got themselves one of those women's weeklies or Sunday newspaper type astrologies and looked at their sign and gone, what a joke, because they say a whole lot and do nothing. They're like politicians' astrologies. You know, astrologies by politicians for the public. They say a ton of stuff and mean absolutely nothing, and they could be applied to almost everybody. So the rightfully sane-minded and discerning minds on this planet will be like, no, I don't have nothing to do with that nonsense. It's like woo-woo with nothing attached. Well, the truth is, my dear friends, astrology is powerful and it rules much more of your life than you would ever care to understand or believe. But without getting into that, astrology works like this. In this universe, every single focal point of consciousness, of which we are some. You know, the fourth kingdom, we are 8 billion focal points of consciousness. Divine consciousness, some say, I agree with them, but focal points of consciousness nonetheless. Powerful consciousness. We get things done when we apply ourselves, like lasers, you know, or dispersed light up whole rooms, no problem. So third kingdom has less focal point, less conscious energy to put into things. So the higher up the kingdoms we go, the more energy we're able to produce and put into any single thing. So this is just a single life form. Now, it just so happens that those miraculous spheres in our solar system we call planets, and Gaia, planet Earth, that we live upon itself, the blue planet, the glorious blue glowing marble of our planet. This planet is called Gaia by many people, or planet Earth is fine by me for many reasons. It is not just a physical structure. All the planets in our solar system have dense physical bodies, otherwise we couldn't see them with the telescopes. So, and yet at the dense physical level, they are more or less things that are relatively uninhabitable. Pretty much only the Earth, one of the moons of Jupiter, comes close to possibly maybe. So ultimately at a physical level, the planetary bodies fulfill a particular purpose. Life at 3D density, third density, fulfills a particular powerful role by accommodating life in this amazing spectrum between, minus 40 and plus 50 degrees. This tiny spectrum in which life lives and requires enough sunlight and oxygen, atmosphere, etc., etc. This planet is called an actual logos. So in esoteric literature, the planetary bodies, the planetary intelligences, because intelligences are connected intimately with planets, they are called a logos. The logoi are the multiple versions of these. So a logos is basically a life form, so basically activated in all 7 kingdoms. Okay, so although they have their own evolution, for all intents and purposes, the planets and the suns of our solar systems and the galaxies, and look out there, the infinitude of these things, are basically godlike, localized consciousnesses serving a particular system. And the sun, our sun, its consciousness serves this entire solar system. In particular, the evolving life in third density here on planet Earth. So why do I say all these things? Quite simply, every single focal point in the universe creates an influence upon the universe. Let's call it in 12 directions. We're not going to go 360 and spherical. That takes up too much math in our minds. Let's keep it simple. Every single thing of the universe that is conscious influences in 12 directions. It could be 360 directions. It probably is like 3,600. But actually, just for simplicity's sake, we're going to say every single conscious focal point in the universe influences everything around it in all the 12 directions. Okay. Now, planets are not separate from this. They're not excluded from this. In fact, the more gigantic, the more large, the more massive the body of consciousness focalized, in this case, in a planet's body of consciousness, is gigantic. It's near godlike, able to usher and sustain life in multiple dimensions. And its consciousness exists in multiple dimensions, even though we down here are only really much working up to the 3rd and 4th dimensions, as it were, physical life and our emotional life, mental life, 5th dimension, a tiny bit of that. So of all the dimensions available, we basically have only woken up to a certain fraction of these. So the astrology works like this. The planetary bodies are basically repositories of cosmic influence. They have natures, just like people, animals. We all have personalities. While the planetary systems themselves, outside of Earth, which is absent such influences, all her powers go to growing life itself and sustaining and nurturing life itself. The other planetary bodies, from Mercury through to Pluto, including the Sun, as the overall presiding ruler of this whole system, all of these spheres exude enormous influence permanently, constantly, in every direction around them. Okay? And when all life that comes to be, all life that comes to take its first breath, the time a plant pops up above the soil for the first time and breathes oxygen, the moment an animal is born, the moment a human being is born, these moments of birth where higher dimensional energy enters into the 3rd dimension, okay, and inhabits cellular forms. In that moment of birth, in that moment of first breath, all the planetary bodies in our solar system that are in whatever particular configuration are basically all influencing us. Okay, and depending on where they are in the universe, because the planetary bodies have particular influences, they have natures, and where they sit in the heavens again, arbitrarily divided into 12 sectors, called in Indian astrology the 12 houses, or in astrology the 12 houses, rule domains of life. For example, the 2nd house rules wealth and possessions. So any planets in the 2nd house of your chart, basically that at the time of your birth were in the heavens in the 2nd house, okay? That's determined from the hour of your birth, which determines the first house. So that's why it's so important, the hour of your birth and knowing it, which is why it isn't kept on the birth records. They like to eliminate that particular detail. It should be on our birth certificates, born at 6:33 a.m., you know? They don't do that. They don't do that because astrology has such power. And they don't necessarily want anybody to really know. And they've called that because it's like nonsense science. But still, the English are pretty good at notarizing things down to the second. They're very precise people. So it kind of doesn't explain why they should omit this very important detail that they otherwise categorize into the minutiae. Okay? So there's another thing that the culture's gotten away with that we are kind of indifferent and oblivious towards. Coming back to this exact time. The houses. So the planets are in particular houses, any one of the 12 houses surrounding us. This planetary energy in this particular house means this particular nature, this particular influence, a patterning influence that a planet has, is coming at you through a house, through a particular domain of life, which means this domain of your life will be energized and actualized and influenced by this particular planetary energy in there at the time of your birth. So this is what normally sets up the astrological chart. And for those of you who have no interest in astrology, who happen to just be here, lucky find, please do go and get yourself a decent and proper, real astrology reading, because when you get a real one, you will actually be able to find yourself psychologically described in a very high level of detail inside this reading. Should be about 20 pages, describes, you know, your personality through planetary influences and houses, okay? But if you read it and it's done well, there is no question that you will not find yourself. No question whatsoever. So if you haven't done one yet, please do so. In fact, there's a link after this video at the bottom in the comments where I have a website where I offer such readings. Doesn't need to be mine. Just make sure you get one at a reliable source that actually gives you something real, so you don't go, hey, look, that's nonsense. I'm just going to put that back in the basket with all the woo-woo. So it's a real deal. It's a real science. And the fact that, in fact, there's an old saying, millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. Okay, and it's a fact. In this world, the people who run this world at the highest echelons all have personal astrologers. That ain't no coincidence. They're not just covering the bases. It's a real thing. So, coming back to why. Astrology means when, in the time of your birth, the planets exude an influence in whatever house they happen to be sitting in. And the planets are always in movement, so they're always changing houses. So ultimately, you can imagine this 9 planet, including the moon, like a 10 body construct. Sun, moon, and the 8 planets, like a 10 influences, basically. There's 1 or 2 more north and south nodes of the moon, but let's just call it these 10 influences are in various places in your surroundings, in your 360-degree environment. And the exact placement the first time of your birth will determine which energies are affecting you how. In which placements, in which parts of your life they affect you. So knowing these things is really, really useful as a navigation for learning your own self. One of the most ancient sayings attributed to or invitations given to mankind in thousands of years ago through the initiation rites was, man, know thyself. Man referring, of course, to mankind, not to men without women. Men and women, mankind, know thyself. Okay, know thyself means learn more about who you are. And we have a superpower, people. The 4th kingdom superpower is consciousness itself. Consciousness can self-identify, become self-aware, self-explore, explore the world, understand it at a profound level. This is a superpower. Even if we do not exercise for anything but animal pleasures and whatever other games and things we like to play, that's all fun. But actual superpower of consciousness is exploration, self-awareness, and increasing awareness and knowledge. This is a power that you can use. In fact, it's a power that has transcended us up out of the animal kingdom and allowed us to build houses, vehicles, technology, way surpassing any sort of limitations the animal kingdom, where our bodies are animal kingdom, have imposed upon us. So our minds have lifted us totally out of the 3rd kingdom and cemented us rightfully in the 4th kingdom. The reason I say all this is because everybody needs to know more about themselves. So I urge you to get an astrology report done. I urge you to look more into this. Now we're going to come to astrocartography. How does astrocartography work? So astrology, your natal chart, works by defining the planets and the houses they are at the time of your birth, how they affect you, how they influence you. Your particular emergence at that time in that place means it can be calculated where the planets exactly are at that time and the influence they carry, which relevance they carry, which degrees they're in, which houses they're in, and altogether that makeup is a natal chart report, showing a lot about us, about you, about me. It's a revelation if you haven't read it. And if you're open-minded, you will actually acknowledge there's a ton of things in there that couldn't otherwise be said about you, that are specific to you, specific to me, clearly. It's a science. As much as it hasn't been acknowledged, it's a real science. So I'm glad to see the increasing popularity of astrology in channels like World Astrology Report, a favorite Dan Waite's of mine, many others, Pam Gregory, this ton of astrology, and they're all becoming increasingly popular and relevant because people are beginning to understand the nature and power of this particular science. Coming back to cartography, what is astrocartography? How does it differ from astrology? Astrocartography is the influences of those planets at the moment of your birth as they bear upon you. Each of these planets lays at your birth an imprint upon your makeup, upon your own psyche, which is our natal chart reading. But at the same time as that, it lays, let's call it a personalized line. Wherever Mercury is at the time of your birth, whatever house it's in, wherever position it's in, at the time of your birth, that Mercury's planet will basically, as it comes down and hits you, that can be used, that trajectory or that moment in time, which is sort of frozen, snapshot frozen, can be used to lay a line down across the planet. And because the planet is round, sorry flat earthers, that line inscribes around and goes to the opposite side of the place from your birth, which is an antithesis point. It's the energies of the opposite of your birth frame itself. We'll get into that later. But ultimately, all the lines from your birthplace go around, and there's 10 of them, and they go from your birthplace and they go out around the planet and meet on the other side. Exactly where these lines lie, each planetary body, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, all these energies lay lines across the planet. Ley lines. Not only do they lay lines across the planet, these lines are personal ley lines. You know how the planet's supposed to have planetary ley lines? These are permanent energetic infrastructure set up that are conduits for certain kinds of higher dimensional energy. Well, you have a personal ley line laid down on the planet at birth, and it's personal to you and that planetary energy. What that means is this: if I have a Mercury line at my birth, going out from my birthplace where all the lines converge. In fact, living in the place of your birthplace is actually a powerful energy, and you can totally do that without any problems whatsoever. There are generally considered 8 constructive, openly beneficial planetary energies or planetary body energies, and 2 which are challenging and adversarial and or challenge us and transformational. Because we have an inherent laziness in our nature, there's always one planet that's ready, just has to be there and has put its hand up to deal with the hard part of growing the humanity when it becomes childish. Okay? And the other one, which is more of a stern father-like energy, we'll get into that description later, is there in order to produce restrictions so that you may use your actual powers. Instead of being given stuff, you get use your powers to grow them yourself. So 2 energies which are more challenging, 8 energies which are very beneficial. So living in your birthplace is a really good place to be. If that's how you happen to be, you don't leave much of it in your life, you like where you were born, it's totally cool. Now, should you depart from the place where you were born, suddenly you will find yourself anywhere on the planet. And there are places on this planet, okay, where lines go right through, okay? So I was born in Auckland, New Zealand, and my lines, for example, come right going out to the west of New Zealand. They come out through the east coast of Australia, and I've got 4 or 5 lines that go right through the east coast of Australia, where I currently live. So, astrocartography shows us this: the nature and energy of any particular planet, which is inscribed for you as a personal ley line across the planet at birth. These lines can be charted, and an astrocartography reading provides exactly this. It provides a map, a snapshot of all these energy lines at birth all across the planet, along with explanations of the planetary energies, their descriptions, what they influence, and what experiences in life they will enhance, suppress, or just ultimately bring to you as your soul to have an experience. They are basically loaded lines for particular experiences. Now, anywhere on the planet, you can have any kind of experience, both the highest and the lowest, okay? These lines do not exclude natural happenings on the planet from happening, but they do add significant chances and significant possibilities and potentials for a particular kind of experience to be had and enjoyed. For example, a Mercury line. Let's start with Mercury. Now let's start with the sun. The sun line, wherever you're born in any particular month, the sun takes a month to pass through each of the 12 zodiac signs. So in any time of the month you're born in a particular sun sign. The sun sign is your external energy, how you are, it's your internal nature. So the sun sign is the world of your internals, how you see yourself, how you feel inside yourself. The sun, therefore, rules how people see you, how people feel you, okay? And so whenever you have a sun line going across the book, because the sun has a line too, whenever you are on your own sun line, you will feel the confidence that comes with sun power, with having sun behind you, because it just so happens that you may be going in, you say, a 300-kilometer journey, and you're going to go through a part where your sun line crosses over. Okay, so within 50 kilometers or 100 kilometers either side of that sun line, the imaginary sun line, placed at birth and always fixed, never moves. It's there for you waiting. When you come close to that, you start to come into the influence of this power of the sun as laid across that particular part of the planet at your birth. It's like you're discovering a little secret that life planted there for you at the moment of your birth, and these gems are littered all across the planet upon these 10 lines. These are your little treasures. These are treasures of experience here for you. Things that if you learn about them, you can use them. Knowledge is power. Man, know thyself. Astrocartography is here to help you know more about it. It's GPS for the soul. I call it Tripadvisor for the soul. Okay? So you heard it first on Channel 7. The way I see astrocartography, it's a Tripadvisor for the soul. All right? So back to Mercury. I'm going to start with the sun. Coming back to the sun, wherever the sun line is, you will feel confident. You will actually have a markedly different experience and noticeable experience of yourself. And as such, other people will see you and treat you differently. This is actually, whether you imagine it or not, when you're on a sun line, it actually happens. Many people attest to this in hindsight doing a reading. They see where their lines lie and they can make a lot more sense of the experiences they had on those lines because of the nature of these influences and how they go, oh my God, I had this experience there because, oh my gosh, like, then let's come to further planetary influences in due course. Second one is the moon. Yeah, the moon rules a sense of home, homeliness. Where am I at home? So wherever the moon line goes, you are going to just feel at home. There's going to be a place on this planet, of a whole half of the planet. It's going to cross oceans and also continents and lands. Wherever the moon line goes, wherever you are on or near or within 100 kilometers of your moon line, you will feel an inexplicable sense of comfortable. You will have a sense of, I could live here. I could actually live here. That's what the experience of being on a moon line feels like. It's a sense of homeliness. Now, many of us are striving and seeking for this experience all of our lives, and we usually make do with wherever we've chosen, and if not, we pack up and leave. But I tell you, finding your own moon line, if you ever want a place to live and you want to feel at home all your life, there's no greater guarantee than living on your own moon line. Should that coincide with a place on the planet that's actually attractive to you? Sometimes, our moon lines are going to go through Iceland, Greenland, the North Pole. I mean, obviously, that's not going to be for many people unless you're Scottish-minded and you like living in the cool climes. Unless you're so minded, that's not going to be a real option for you. Coming from the sun to the moon to Mercury. Mercury is the planet ruling communications, all various forms of communications and the technology that supports communications. Computers, phones, all computers, all phones, all things that communicate, that we use to communicate, all communications themselves, visual, audio, tangible, all communication, mostly centered around the spoken word, are all ruled by Mercury. In numerology, this rules the number 5. So any numbers 5, 14, 23 are all going to be numbers, so for example, days of the month where Mercury energy is strong. So Mercury rules communications. It also rules that which is the result of communications, learning. All higher learning is ruled by Mercury. So any form of studies ruled by Mercury. So studies, anybody wanting to study, wanting to actually learn anything, whether you're post-school, in university, thinking about where to go in university, okay? If I was anybody who was like 20 under and I was wanting to go to university, although that may become quickly obsolete these days with the AI revolution, homeschooling and all that kind of stuff, just in case they don't become obsolete, and there are higher learning faculties that are not just online, higher learning facilities that are not just online, being on a Mercury line is a great choice. I have a friend of mine, he's from America. He ended up coming to where I live here, and I did a reading for him, and he's basically come to study at a university, do a higher learning course. And as it turns out, he's tried that before in America, and it didn't go so well. He was like bored, blah, blah, blah. He didn't get it so much. He's done many different courses. None of them really fit with him, so he gave them up. This one, he's seen through to the end, and he's actually enjoying it. And there happens to be one of the reasons for that. He's come to study and live on his own Mercury line. That's right, people. Of all the places on the planet that line could have gone from his place of birth, it's come right through the town I live. Okay, so he's come to live here and signed up here. Of all the places in Australia he could have gone here, and it happens to be on his Mercury line, and he's having great success. So just a personal example of how this stuff actually works. Moving on to Venus. Venus rules beauty, majesty, aesthetics. It rules the heart, it rules love. So ultimately the experiences of high aesthetics, harmonics, and love. So the emotional state of love are ruled by Venus. It's magisterial in nature. And wherever a Venus line runs on the planet, you will find a much greater chance of love. Ladies, listen up. Okay, if you haven't got an astrocartography chart done yet, get one done. Because you need to know where your Venus lines lie. If you are looking for love and you're looking for the chances of love, okay, being on your own Venus line practically guarantees at some point, sooner rather than later, this experience will manifest for you. Okay, it's just the way it is. Experiencing it has to just be believed. It just has to be experienced to be believed for some people. But I can guarantee you, this is backed up by thousands and thousands of people's testimonies as to the accuracy of these readings done for them all over the planet. It's not like overnight science coming to join you today. It's true and tested, and people's personal life experiences are testimonies of this. So, Venus for love. Coming into Mars. What's Mars ruling? Well, Mars rules action, go get 'em, get it done. Also passion. So not just the outcomes of activity, which is without forethought. You know, for example, Mars rules Aries, the star sign Aries. And Aries are known for their huge go-getter nature, impulsive, get off the track. Like in a 100-meter race, the Aries are going to be first off the track. When that thing goes, they're going to be like, because they have this innate nature to begin instinctively. They just launch. They're really good at launching. Not so good at finishing, other signs better at that, but really good at initiating. So the reason I say that is when you initiate things without huge forethought as to the consequences, it can produce conflict, it can produce aggression in others, in the world, and itself. So Mars rules both conflict and aggression as well as passion, as well as overall the activity of get it done. You want to get something done in your life, you need momentum, you need a mobilization in you, like a serious motivation to get up and get something done. Find your Mars line, go stay on it for a month. Whatever you're doing will actualize and will gain the power of Mars's action and activity-based energy, and you will get it done. If you're going to get anything done, Mars will see to it. Okay, people? Also, when I say passion, I mean passion for the man who's, obviously we men, certainly I can only speak for myself here, but generally I think I include many men. We thrive, just as the feminine thrives through love, men thrive also, as well as through love, but also through passion. Women too. But men guided a bit more towards that, and women a bit more towards the love component. It's like a natural balance of the sexes that evens itself out. Beautiful nature of heterosexual relationships here coming into its true power. Hopefully that will be rediscovered in the whole population at large once the psyop has worn off about gender confusion. So Mars rules passion. Go to a Mars place and you will also find any interactions you have there of a romantic nature will be highly passionate. That's right, people. 2x on the romance scale. So if that's of interest to you, a Mars line is in your destiny. Coming on to Jupiter, the great benefactor. Jupiter, he looks like super fat. He's like the fattest cat in the skies, okay? Jupiter, because he's benevolent, because Jupiter is the giver, the abundance maker, the good luck provider, the one where it says, Jupiter says, look, I'm not your daddy, but I like you, kid, and I'm going to give you a whole bunch of like super cool things for free. I'm just going to give you blessing. I'm going to give you good luck. I'm going to give you abundance. I'm going to give you good fortune. You don't have to do anything for it. I'm just going to give it to you. It's my nature. What can I say? I'm generous. So Jupiter is the ultimate surplus state. Jupiter passes on, whenever you find a Jupiter line on the planet, the Jupiter's energy will cause all legal affairs to run better than if you are not on them. All sorts of good luck, little circumstances happen that go in your favor. Abundance energy is present. Whatever you're doing will magnify. Careful what you're doing on a Jupiter line. If you're doing some dark stuff's going to magnify. It creates an abundance for whatever you're focusing on and bringing into the world. So go there with some high vibes to a Jupiter line, and you'll find the abundance is waiting for you and actually will provide for you just that little bit of good fortune, the right connection, meeting the right person. These things all happen to progress your life forward. They happen on Jupiter lines more than any other place on the planet, okay? Moving to Saturn. Saturn. The rings. Saturn has a belt, okay? Because Saturn's your daddy, people. Many people give Saturn a bad rap because Saturn is connected to limitations, restrictions, okay? But you got to be fair to Saturn. Saturn actually has a great love for his children. And like any father, you know, Saturn also rules time. It's called Father Kronos. Saturn's energy is such. Saturn only wants the best for your children. Unlike Jupiter that says, I don't care who you are, I'm going to give it to you anyway. Saturn goes, Jupiter's gifts are temporary and really wonderful, but they are temporary. He gives them as quickly as he takes them. And they have, because you haven't produced them, my child, they will not last very long. They've just been given to you. And the nature of the universe is that when you haven't worked for it yourself, it can be easily removed from you. Even if you work for it yourself. But the likelihood of it staying around if you've built it inside yourself is much more likely. Saturn says this, I want you, my child, I want you to build inside yourself the strength you need to be successful. When you do, I will crown you with success, unlike any Jupiter. More than any other planet, I will crown, because it will be success that you have earned. You have earned it. You have gone into the trenches. You've sweated the toil of your brow. You've done the work. You've gone through the hurt and the pain and the whatever area in life that you are challenged in, Saturn is there. Okay, and Saturn wants you, instead of like having a break, it wants you to go deep, find your strength, and solve it yourself. It's the ultimate father's love, who basically holds himself distant and even admonishing and stern to his children in order to get them to dig deep within themselves for the powers they need to save themselves. So Saturn really rocks in my world, and I'm only gonna, sing his praises. It's not an easy life, depending on which house Saturn is in. It's not necessarily an easy life. You've got to be ready to sign up for that. But if you are wanting to upgrade yourself and be on an upgrade path, and be always, if you fall away from the upgrade and you relax your upgrade momentum, Saturn will bring you right back by removing something from your life to make it uncomfortable to get you back on track. It makes sure you don't fall prey to too many comforts and delusions. It brings you straight back. It's very stern, but it's also very realistic. Saturn, bless you. Shanicharya. The next planet, Uranus, the planet of sudden changes. Uranus's energy is linked to genius for a reason. It is linked to high inspiration. And the higher realms of the mind in 5D, our higher realms are dominated by the showering foundations of Uranus's outpourings. Uranus is the planet akin to the highest realms of the mental realm, and all genius comes to us through Uranus. It also causes in the plane, in the material, physical world, disruptions and sudden, unexpected turns of events. So if you're on a Uranus line, expect high capacity for intuitional and inspirational flashes. You will get your best ideas in your life on a Uranus line. If you're doing creative work and you're a writer, a philosopher, a thinker, anyone who's trying to improve or explore or go to the frontier edges of any realm of knowledge, go to a Uranus line. If you are there, your life may be physically somewhat less predictable and prone to sudden changes, but your mental life will be rich and showered with Uranus's blessings. Especially right now, people 2026, Uranus is in the sign of Gemini. It's going to be in it for 7 years. Gemini is the fast, super fast information master. able to uptake, and the polymath, the beings are able to uptake and master information more than any other astrology sign. Uranus is in the sign, so it's potentialized. It's like 2x, 3x Uranus and Gemini, okay? So use this benefit. Find out your Uranus line and go stay there for periods of time. If you want to live there full time, could be a lot, but for periods of time, go on a holiday. You will see the difference. Then we come to Neptune, the planet of spirit, but also dreams and fantasy. The planet that rules the invisible real, as well as the made up, projected, imagined unreal. And it's very hard to distinguish these two. That's why human beings clings like a child to its science. It's baby science, which is just helping it climb out of the dirt and distinguish that which is solid from that which is not, which is as far as it's got. Neptune holds the space, saying, I know all the ephemeral, all the infinite, all the invisible. I chart this. They are all my domains. And I also know the realm within you. When you do not know these things within your being as fourth kingdom consciousnesses, when you have not expanded your consciousness to include my awareness, then instead you will project the same power of God into the world through your fantasy, and you will project, and it will create illusions and fantasy, and you will not know truth from lies. So Neptune rules both these areas. So you want to go to a spiritual retreat? Do it on a Neptune line. You want to go somewhere and lose yourself in the world for half a year and live in this great, beautiful fantasy? Most likely, you can do it on a Neptune line. But remember, in the fantasy world, those fantasies often become broken and crashed. And then sooner or later, you will have to return to reality, which Saturn always sits there welcoming you to, if not putting a belt behind you to bring you back to if you've gotten too lost. So this is the advantage. True spirit inclinations served by Neptune, they'll open up the gates for you. And no matter what you're doing alongside that, there's the propensity to enhance imagination and the fanciful. And you can become lost in that too, for the human mind is very powerful. Last but not least, Pluto, so-called Hades, 2,000 years ago in the Roman architecture. Pluto rules the underworld, people, and the underworld is the place where, not where you go when you die, although there is a form of underworld that is called this, but actually it's the underworld of the human psyche. It is that which is underneath the baseline zero. If you know my talks on surplus and deficit, Pluto rules the world of deficit and all the human habitations that exist within it. Pluto is ultimately linked to the sign Scorpio because Pluto is all about one single word, transformation. If Saturn is about reformation, Pluto is about transformation. And most human beings, being somewhat lazy and inclined to want an easier time of it, tend to avoid transformations because they usually involve a big mix-up and a big makeup and a big rematch and a big reorganization of your mindset, emotional health, physical health, physical habits. Transformation is not just like, it's a transformation, you're transformed, okay? So transformation is not a small thing, and most of us shy away from it, which is why Pluto has been known as transformation through crisis. Because of the human propensity to avoid transformation, you will find that transformation is often brought to us due to our inherent avoidance preferences through crisis. It has to happen to you. You'll have to have all your stuff robbed from you in order to have a certain experience that you otherwise would not be able to have. And Pluto is responsible for that. I had the worst times on this planet in my life on my own Pluto line. And I also had some of the highest, most spiritual times in my life where I had the greatest realizations also on a Pluto line. Also the times when I was robbed, stolen, arrested for no reason, kept overnight, threatened with massive fines that I could not pay. All these things, Pluto line. So they are hardship creating lines on the planet that if you are on them, be aware. You may not wish to avoid these. In fact, you may wish to go to them intentionally. I did a reading with someone last year and she said, oh, Pluto line, great. I love this idea. I'm going to go there. She actually wanted to make a destination to this holiday place, which was on a Pluto line. I said, good, as long as you're aware what it brings. If you go with the mindset of, I want positive transformation, you can have a truly spiritual experience on a Pluto line. Amazing things. And then there are the nodes. I'm not going to go into the nodes, but nodes are essentially magnifiers of one type or another and influence parts of psychology. Ultimately, this here is about to understand the value of astrocartography, Tripadvisor for the soul. And I'm here today to put it to you, to think about this, explore it further. One of the most important things you can do for yourself, if you're ever deciding to get a chart, please just don't go down the road or go on some free site online, okay, that says, I'm going to give you a free astrocartography. I've seen many people come to me with so-called astrocartography charts that they've done in the past, free ones, and I've had a look at them, and they've been such junk. It makes me, it's shameful how people can put information out there that's so blatantly untrue, and it's just a load of nonsense. No worries that it aids in the discreditation of this still yet fledgling and worthy science. So please do yourself a favor. If you're going to do it, do a proper one. I have a website where I offer readings of this nature. Feel free to, the links to this will be in the comments below, or in the transcript below. Thank you so much for paying attention today. I think that covers pretty much everything that we want to cover today, and that I wanted to share with you around astrocartography. Probably one of the best things you could do for yourself, and it's certainly a part of the foundation series that I've created here on YouTube. So I hope you're listening today. I hope you take the benefit today. It's been nice being with you. Thanks for being with Channel 7, and don't forget to subscribe and like. Thank you so much. Bye.